What was your most awkward I thought we were alone story? NSFW. I was like 12 years old and my mom was about to spank me. I was crying and groveling and asked her, "Are you gonna whoop me?" She decided not to. I walked upstairs and went into the bathroom. I was very curious just how pathetic I must have looked when I asked her that with tears and snot running down my face. So, I looked into the mirror and started saying, "Are you gonna whoop me?" I didn't think I truly captured how pathetic I was, though. So I said it again, but this time with a voice nearly crying. Then I said it again, while making a pathetic crying face. I kept saying, "Are you gonna whoop me?" in the mirror over and over while trying to look and sound as pathetic as possible. Then I turned around and saw my mom and sister watching me like I was a ducking lunatic. Then they walked away without saying anything. TLDR. Are you gonna whoop me? Edit. Thanks for the gold, everyone. Please see the original post. Here, all credits go to you ovary puncher. Not me. Not me, but my little brother. When I was in high school, my little brother had an earlier bedtime. He was 7 years younger, so he would always shower first, but his showers would last for like an hour. Every time I would go in after him, the water would be ice cold and it really made me mad. I tried complaining to my mom but got the whole "quit being whiny" response. So I took matters into my own hands. When I knew he was about to go take a shower, I shoved a piece of paper in the little hole in the wall where the handle thing goes into. I have no clue what it is called. Anyways, after he was in there for about 15 minutes, thinking he had the door locked, I pulled it open to find him standing on our bathroom counter with a bar of soap shoved in his butt crack and dancing in front of the mirror. He saw me, freaked out and started screaming. TLDR. I now only use liquid soap when I take a shower. Forgot my towel right before taking a shower. Ran downstairs naked to get fresh one from the dryer which was running. Duck here. I run up the stairs on all fours coughing. Gollum. Almost to the top. Roommates GF leaning over banister looking at me. Very confused. I do weird stuff when I think I'm alone. Edit. Thank you for my first gold. It's unusually satisfying. GF and I walking around the house after 6 only to find her housemates downstairs in the kitchen cooking in her underwear. She thought she was alone too. One time when I was like 8, I was alone in my room and I picked my butt then sniffed it for some reason. I don't ducking know. Don't question 8-year-old me. As I was sniffing it, my dad said, "So does it smell good?" Turns out I wasn't alone after all. It was embarrassing. I had recently shaved my balls, so they were itchy. I was in my basement alone, so I de-pantsed and scratched. My dad came down unannounced, saw the situation, and made the just assumption that I was wanking. I desperately want to tell him that that's not the case, and reflexively yell, "No, wait, come back." He said, "No." I was fooling around with my partner at the time in his pool. It started off as just swimming around in our bathers but soon progressed to nude swimming since it was just the two of us. Since we were both nude and in the honeymoon period of our relationship, one thing led to another and we started going at it in the pool. Being 19/20 there was lots of passion and noises, and when I went to look into eyes, hidden by sunglasses, I noticed the reflection of his mum staring at us from the kitchen window. She had a massive smile on her face. I die a little every time I think about it. I was 14 years old and puberty was in full swing for me. I don't remember why, but for some reason as I was getting ready for school I felt the urge to grab my bottle of Listerine and thrust into it. My D wasn't in the bottle, I was just dry humping it. At the same time my dad was coming down the hallway about to tell me bye before he went to work, and once he saw me he screamed, "What the duck?" Stampeded downstairs to his car and he never said another word to me about it. TLDR. My hormones were raging and I dry humped a bottle of Listerine and my dad caught me. Edit. Holy it, I never thought my weird ass childhood would get such a big response. But thank you. Edit 2. He didn't whoop me. We were hanging out at my then boyfriend's apartment when his roommate left to have dinner with some friends. We decided to take this opportunity to have some crazy loud sex. We were in his room, in the middle of the crazy loud sex, when my boyfriend suddenly paused mid-stroke and said, "I thought we turned the TV off." I realized the TV was blaring from out in the living room. Apparently his roommate had come home much earlier than we expected and was trying to drown out our noise. Suffice it to say, our embarrassment killed the moment. I've posted this story before. I work for a home improvement store as a product assembler. Well, one day I finished my projects early and had a huge amount of large boxes laying about. So I did what any adult in that situation would do. Build a city and play Godzilla. So I'm rampaging about and making dinosaur sounds when one of the assistant store managers come back to check on me. He caught me mid-roar. He laughed it off and said he envied my job. When I was about 17 I was invited to the village pub with my girlfriend's family and ended up getting rather drunk. My girlfriend wanted to leave early so we headed back to their house. When we got back I went for a piss and ended up peeing on the floor a bit, so I shouted to her, "Babe, I pissed on the floor," expecting her to tell me where the cleaning stuff was. She never answered, so I poked my head out to see her whole family including her grandparents standing at the foot of the stairs which were directly in front of the door. My sister, stepsister, stepbrother and I were heading out to the movies. Literally had just gotten in the car and realized I forgot my wallet. I went back inside to grab it and from my stepmom to my father I hear, "You know, we're all alone." I ran. Back when I was like 15, I went and stayed at my friend's house. Anytime I stayed the night there we just slept in his bed. No homo. Well, one morning I thought I heard him wake up and walk out of the room. And I tried going back to sleep but ended up getting morning wood. Well, I thought about it and decided to sneak one off since I was alone. After I finished and decided to get up to clean up I noticed he was still laying in the bed next to me. Doesn't get much more awkward than that. And I am a horrible friend. I thought I was alone in the house. And I had just finished taking a shower. My dog normally lies next to the door when I'm in the shower. And when I got out he wanted to play. I ended up chasing him, in the nude, down to our first floor where my sister was entertaining her friends. Luckily they laughed it off, but my sister has never let me live it down since. They really need to post alerts notices about when they're gonna clean windows. Just this morning, I was shaving my balls. I prefer doing it in natural sunlight. So I plopped my balls on the windowsill and started trimming. It's a delicate process and requires a lot of focus. All of a sudden, it got really dark. I looked up to see if it was going to rain or something. Nope. 2 Mexican dudes staring at me, butt ass naked, with my balls on the windowsill, and a scissor in my hand. Got home from work one day thinking that my roommates were still out. Go to make myself something to eat and hear a loud smack, followed by, "You like that? Yeah. Harder." Put down my sandwich making supplies and left. My soul lives a few hours away, and on Christmas New Year's vacation he came to see me. His good friends are my neighbors, and since I'm still in high school, I live with my parents, so we didn't spend much time at my house. Well, night comes around and me and my so are alone because everyone went to the bar and we were both underage. Well, of course a kiss leads to more, and we go upstairs into their spare bedroom. Since everyone was gone watching the ball drop we assumed it would be 1-2 before they got home, so we got real nice and loud, like I was practically screaming, ducking against the wall, stuff like that. After we're done I walked downstairs buck naked to get a pop. It was a little before 12:30. There's 3 people just sitting in silence in the living room, all giving me this look. Oh cute, oh cute, oh cute, oh cute. I just ran back up and was like, oh cute, oh cute, oh cute, oh cute, oh no. When I'm alone in the woods and haven't seen anyone in a while, I shout out random catchphrases. During a Girls Gone Wild phase a few years back, I would shout out, "Show me your titties." Once when this happened, an elderly woman came around the bend in the trail. Unfortunately she was no B. Arthur in the tits department. Not that it would have mattered anyways. All I got a glimpse of was her giving me a dirty look. TLDR, I suffer from hiker's Tourette. When I was younger I was obsessed with the Harry Potter books. Anytime I had a chance I was reading. Sometimes it would interfere with daily activities such as eating, sleeping or interacting with my family. I didn't really care, I just wanted to read my book. My parents would get so annoyed that they would forbid me from reading at certain times. So I would pretend to take a shower and read in the bathroom so I wouldn't get interrupted. This one particular time I heard my dad leave. so I started to read out loud. When I read out loud I go into character, accent and all. Anyway, I'm going on and on in my fabulous English accent for a good 10 minutes when I hear a knock on the door. It was my dad asking if I had a boy in the bathroom with me. It was awkward explaining to him that I just like to read out loud in English accents. I was about 9 or 10 when this happened, and my parents' punishment logic was actually pretty smart. Before they had tried taking away TV time, video games, toys, nothing really worked because I could care less about those things. Now treated to take away my books and my chores would be done instantly. So my parents' parenting skills weren't bad. They just realized my weakness was books and used that against me. Also, my parents encouraged my reading. They would much rather buy me a book than a toy. They just didn't like that I was reading at every given time. So I am in high school band. I was making out groping with my so in the back of my van, which has tinted windows, in the school parking lot at 10 p.m.ish. The next day, I walk by my band director who asks me, "Did you have fun last night?" I reply, "Why? Well, it sure looked like it." I was aghast, to say the least. Edit. My highest rated comment by more than tenfold is now on a NSFW topic. Well, it. Back in high school, one of my close friends and I had a brief period of sexual experimentation. He's now straight, and I'm now bi. We're both guys. We would basically use handjobs as currency for things we wanted. One day we were at my house, presumably alone, and he wanted to borrow one of my video games for a week or two. Now this was a brand new game I had just bought, so I didn't want to let it go for free. After some debate I ended up getting the handjob in my open game room. But when I went to get us some cokes I found my mom sitting at the table in the room next to us doing taxes. Awkward. I don't think she knew, but my friend freaked out. Edit. The amount of "she can smell your cum" responses has broken my inbox TT. Back in high school I was camping with my girlfriend and her family out at a lake. Her family said they were going to head to town for food, beer, etc. So we decided it was a good time to relieve some tension. We went into the camper as they drove away and she immediately started giving me a blowjob. We were really getting into it with the dirty talk and her going to town on me, and just as I am about to blow my wad in her mouth I look out the window to see her dad standing there with his back to the window. I nearly it. Her dad was a rather large man who fought forest fires for a living. I threw her off of me and yanked my pants up so fast I got frictions burns. She looked at me like I was nuts until I pointed to the window. Thank God he didn't see us or I would not be here to tell the tale today. My long distance so, 3000 km, was visiting during the summer. I was living in a student house at the time and was the only one in the house at the time, and we had taken to having sex with the door open. However, as we were taking the time to celebrate our time together when we hear a knock at the door, obviously we ignore it and get back to business. As I, female, am enjoying some oral pleasure I turn my head to see a middle-aged man standing in my doorway. The eye contact had been made so he took it as his turn to introduce himself. He did so by saying, "I'm here to clean your carpet." Oh, the irony. I tell him my carpet is just fine and direct him across the hall. My so still under the blanket finally recognizes my legs squeezing his neck is not a sign of encouragement. He sticks his head from out of the blanket and says hello. They exchange pleasantries and from now on we have sex with the door shut, no matter how alone we think we are. I woke up super early during finals week and was walking to the library at 5 AM to start studying. Nobody was out, so I started singing "Hit 'Em Up Style" by Blue Cantrell out loud to blow off some steam. I was getting really into it. I was doing runs and dancing and everything. When I got to the library I got a feeling and looked behind me. There was a guy probably 20 feet behind me, obviously trying not to laugh. We made eye contact. He smiled, and I ran into the library in embarrassment. In high school, my now ex-boyfriend and I went back to his house after school. His parents' cars weren't in the driveway, so we thought we had the house to ourselves. We went up to his room and started to fool around. Once the actual act started we heard something on the steps. We paused, thinking oh it, parents, but didn't hear anything after, so thought it was just the dog. Kept going until all of a sudden the song "Bad Touch," the Discovery Channel song, by Bloodhound Gang started blasting downstairs in the living room. Apparently his little sister had come home sick from school. I was with an ex-girlfriend in her bedroom that she shared a room with her sister. We knew she was going to be out for a while and her mom wasn't going to be home until much later, so we had plenty of time alone. Afterwards, I turned and leaned over the bed so I could get my boxes off the floor and go to the bathroom. That's when I noticed her dog just sitting there next to the bed looking up and panting. I have no idea how long he was there, but it felt weird to think that he was watching us have a sex. I was 25 and sharing a house with a 31-year-old housemate. I was working this high-stress job doing software support for some quite high-profile organizations, but my boss at the time was a total asshole who always treated everything as not good enough, looked down his nose and treated me with such a condescending demeanor. When I got home I was feeling stressed. My housemate wasn't there, so I went upstairs to my bedroom and lay on my bed. Then I needed to eat, so I went across to take a dump. Since I'm a man, I like to sit and contemplate while on the dunny, so I was doing this, but eventually started talking out loud, venting everything I could about my wanker of a boss. I was there for about 30 minutes just angrily ranting and raving about the he has said to me. Then when I got out I realized my housemate had been home the whole time. She arrived just after me. I tried to explain but she looked at me like I was crazy. It was so awkward, and I don't think she trusted me again after that. I moved out a couple of months later. Not quite the same, but my ex only had a single bed in her room, and her cousin came to stay. There were no spare beds, only a single mattress that we put on the floor of my ex's room. She was supposed to sleep with her cousin. Fast forward half an hour. The cousin is asleep and my ex and I are cuddling on the mattress on the floor. Things get a tiny bit heated. Finger her. Feels good, man. Get my first hand job. Feels even better, man. After everything was finished, her cousin gets up out of the bed, looks at us and says something along the lines of "What are you two up to?" Then proceeds to walk out of the room. Pretty sure she was awake for the whole thing. TLDR. Fingered my ex-girlfriend and got a hand job while her cousin was most likely awake and in the same room. No regrets. Edit. Clarified the TLDR a bit. My wife and I were feeling frisky. After a few drinks, there was this used electronics store that had a back storage lot with fridges, old washing machines, dryers, and stuff. We decide to go back there and get it on. It was like 3 AM. Well, she's leaned over a dryer when I'm nearly at my climax and I'm pulling out when all of a sudden the light comes on and an elderly man comes out and witness me come in the middle of his storage area, behind his store, not inside. We just look at each other for a moment. My wife is looking at him, he smiles, turns around and goes back inside. I was watching a YouTube video that's pretty famous of a lady saying ain't nobody got time for that, about a fire in her building. Someone auto-tuned it into a catchy song, which we also watched. Then I went downstairs to change the baby's diaper. I had the auto-tune stuck in my head and was singing it with great enthusiasm. Doing my best auto-tune impression. I kept it up for several choruses. I came upstairs to my husband and several friends dying of laughter since they'd been watching listening on the baby monitor camera. Brother thought I left the room. Started beating it like a madman. Really awkward when we both realized what was going on. And I just ended up ripping the door off the hinges trying to get out. My boyfriend and I were fooling around at his parents' house, where he still lived, when they were out running errands. We weren't being super loud, but still making our pleasures known. All of a sudden we heard a knock at the door, followed by the door opening before we could even say anything. Somehow, within that millisecond, I was able to cover our naked bodies up with his blanket and we unmuted the TV. It was painfully obvious what we had been doing, and she just popped her face in, said hi, and let the dog in. It was mortifying. Was showering in the bathroom, thinking that my 5 housemates left the house for food. Started singing some terrible pop songs. Turns out someone left his wallet at home and they came back. After some persuasion I am left with the only copy of this video on the internet.